Hello, and welcome to lesson 52 of the Learning Guitar series. In this particular lesson, we're going to focus on double stops, and we're going to continue our studies of double stops, and in particular, we're going to focus on sixths intervals, applied as usual to our major scale, to our Ionian scale. Before we proceed, I would like to thank the patrons who are supporting this project on my Patreon channel. Is very much appreciated. Thank you so much for keeping this project alive, and of course, the people who are subscribed to the YouTube channels, and sometimes they send questions. All your support is very much appreciated. Let's delve straight into it, and I prepared a couple of PDFs for this lesson, which of course you can download if you are a patron. You can easily download, and which we're going to reference in this particular lesson. And first of all, I created like a recap of major modes, and this is going to be just useful in terms of now that we look at sixths applied to a Ionian scale. We'll see how major sixth and minor sixth moves, and of course there is a PDF of exercises that follows the lesson. So in defining sixth intervals and double stops, first of all, let's establish a root note. In this case, I'm going to use G as a root note, as a starting point in this case. And if we think of the G Ionian scale or G major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the sixth of G is going to be an E note. And this interval is basically a major six. Now if I start from the second note of the scale, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have our second double stop. And if I start from the third note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here is a double stop. If you've done all the intervallic studies, which I wrote, is literally lesson 1 that I can think of in terms of the shape of the form of E. Basically, during those exercises, when we were doing sixth intervals, we were playing as single notes, obviously. In this case, we're playing them as double stops. And these particular charts, in terms of recap, so if I play the first note and then the sixth, you will notice that also when I start from the second note, so let's think Dorian for a second, the sixth is still a major six. When I start from the third note, the interval is going to be a flat six. When I start from the fourth note, the interval is still going to be a major six, a major six, a minor six, and a minor six. What does that mean? Because in a way, if I play any note, let's say A, the major six is here. So in the case of A, it would be an F sharp, while the minor six will be an F. And you can hear the difference. And because we're applying this particular studies, the double stops, to our major scale, we kind of follow the sequence where sometimes the interval in between the note and its relative six is going to be a major six, and sometimes it's going to be a minor six. We want to put it in context. That's the thing, is like, we could do this in a way, but it's not going to be particularly musical, and in a way we want to very soon to be able to apply these ideas of double stops to our playing. In other words, we're associating a shape, in this case is, say, G major, and in the shape of E, obviously. And you have all your double stops, no? Now, let's leave the harmony theory aside. Now let's start looking at the exercise you can do. As I say, there is a PDF that goes with that. I'm going to demonstrate all of it on the guitar so you can see how we might want to practice this. Let me show it to you very quickly. And you have apply the sixth intervals, apply it to the cage system, vertical stretcher, 3 notes per strings, vertical stretcher, horizontal stretcher, no stretching, horizontal stretcher, stretching. What does that mean? Well, when we perform sixth intervals, we seen it when we studied the third intervals, we can perform them vertically. So we take a shape, in this case the shape of G or the shape of D or the shape of C, and it's good to do it that way so that you literally associate the finger patterns, let's call it this way, to the actual chords, and that's kind of relevant, so that when you're playing you end up using these things. But also, of course, we can perform them horizontally. I think, like, a lot of country music has got this kind of little ideas. Intervals of six are actually great, especially when there's also like a bass player, because like two notes, our double stop, plus the bass, kind of gives you a chord. So sometimes you don't have always to play six notes strings, and this is true for all double stop studies in a way. So let's delve into vertical structure first. I'm going to go through all the examples on the PDF one by one, and as I said, if you're a Patreon supporter, just download the PDFs, and as usual, if you have any question, then you can always send me a message and ask. So let's start from the shape of G, and let's look at these intervals. I'm going to put a pedal of G, so basically just a drone of G, under all the exercises, so you can actually hear how the intervals relate to the root note. Okay? So here is the shape of E, vertical structure. When it comes to 3 notes per string, still we have a 7 position. For those of you familiar with 3 notes per string, you already know that, and if you don't know that, go back to lesson number 1 to 15, where I went through the gauge system, but also like the 7 position 3 notes per strings. The concept is exactly the same. So let's look at the vertical structure. We're going to go from position 1, and by position 1 in this case I just mean I'm going to start from the root note G. So what I'm looking at is this particular structure. So let's go from the first position. So this is it for lesson 52. I hope you enjoyed it. If anything, I hope you'll find it useful. Once again, I would like to thank the patrons who are supporting the Patreon page. If you're not done so, and you're enjoying the lessons, or at least you're finding them useful, consider, the opportunity to support this project. It's what keeps it going. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel eventually, and more importantly, if you have any question, just feel free to send me a message. It's been a pleasure, and until next time, thank you. Bye.